So let's go back to Washington and just tidy this up with Maria Byrd, because the relationship between the U.S. and Nigeria uh, was quite dramatic last year. There were a couple of intrigues. So Maria, we decided to leave this for the last because it's one of the major talking points that would, of course, shape 2026 as well. And it's usually tricky for Nigerians to sort of internalize this. On the one hand, it looks like the U.S. is really interested, particularly in the fight against terrorism, in the attacks on Christian-dominated areas. But on the other hand, the U.S. with visa restrictions is saying, well, do not come here. So it's tough to balance that love-hate relationship. What is it like, really, Maria? And how do you see this shaping 2026?
Well, I would say that for most Americans, U.S. and Nigeria, it's a love relationship. Nigerians are the leading physicians in the United States of Black physicians. So the majority of Black physicians are Nigerian. So Nigerians play a major role in not only the economic components within the U.S., but just the fabric of the country. And so just to be, I think, to set the stage as to the impact that Nigerians have in the United States has just been vast. Previous administrations have had presidential appointees that are of Nigerian descent, and so this is definitely, I think, a very different time for the U.S. and Nigeria. We do remember, though, in previous Trump administration, he did bring President Buhari at the time, the former president, to the White House for a visit, and so Nigeria has been an interest area for the administration for quite some time. And as you can see, a large section of Africa has been a focal point during this administration for the president. Noting, we must also remember that the U.S. and China have been a very tense relationship since the beginning of this Trump administration and the previous Trump administration. Knowing the relationship and the type of investment that China has in Africa and the relationship there, I think does bring a certain level of focus and interest from the president. But as you mentioned, two very different things. One is the focus around security. The U.S. obviously has had an interest in helping to find ways to secure the northern regions of Nigeria, especially when you talk about Boko Haram and some of the security pieces there. A lot of that obviously is global. Focal point is that this is not just something that obviously is just in the northern region, and you think about what the U.S. has, the programs they put in place around ISIS, knowing that ISIS has expanded throughout the world and the global network that it has, and so the interest the U.S. has had there as well. And so I think the interest for the U.S. as it relates to security in the northern region has preceded the Trump administration. The difference, though, is that how it's being managed. And so I think that's where Americans are either concerned or they're wondering how the Trump administration plans to do things a little bit differently. Maybe they're hoping to see a more forward approach, which he has taken. But you are talking about putting the country on the list of a country of particular concern, but to your point, also have put some provisionary measures around visas. And some of these are tourism visas, but also noting that the U.S. has had a major immigration upheaval and change overhaul. And so the U.S. has definitely changed its policies around what we've seen when it relates to immigration and coming into the country. But as many people have been reminded, we do know that many Nigerians decided not to go home for the holiday because these travel bans were put out during that period of time. But it has been stated that anyone that does have the appropriate visa should have no problem traveling in and out of the United States.
Well, Maria, that really presents a lot of context, and we'll see how things play out in 2026. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Once again, Happy New Year, Maria. Let's hope that 2026 will be way better than 2025.
Thank you.
Oh, that's our correspondent, Maria Byrd, joining us from Washington. They are in the new year. Some other parts of the U.S., I should say, are not in the new year just yet. No thanks to the time zone. But we'll take a quick break now. And when we return, there's someone entering the new year as a member or the newest member of a major political party in Nigeria, which is known as the Coalition. Mr. Peter Obi announced his defection to the ADC officially yesterday, and we have one of the leaders in his corner joining us next on the program to speak to this, call it a New Year present from Mr. Peter Obi to obedience. Stay with us, we'll be right back.